remember the name. Yeah. Welcome to the X-Rated Sports Network, where the takes get loud and the truth get exposed. Let's talk about it. X-Rated Sports Network. If it's game time talk, we the ones who connect. X-Rated Sports Network, where the hot takes live and the truth get checked. East Coast talk, West Coast swagger. Stats on the board, yeah, the debate get louder. No filter talk, yeah, we calling the play. If it's sports conversation, we leading the way. From the hardwood to the gridiron plays, breaking every matchup, every headline debate. X-Rated Sports Network.
And away we go. It is Beyond the Surface on the X-Rated Sports Network with Ashley Neville and Dwight Walton. I am Rick Kamla, and this is the Victor Oladipo episode. That's right, two-time All-Star Victor Oladipo scheduled to be here at 3 o'clock Eastern today. Shouts to Ashley for booking the great Victor Oladipo, who last month went viral. He set up a pro day in Las Vegas for scouts and GMs, went viral about it. We're going to talk with him about that and his comeback, which I'm not even going to call it an attempt. I'm just going to call it a comeback because we're all rooting for this young man. But Ashley, phenomenal job getting VO, man. We're all psyched to have him on the show.
Can't wait. I've been trying to get him for an interview for like a year now. So I figured why not bring him on this amazing podcast, right? But I'm happy we were able to finally make it work. The stars aligned, you know. These guys have a lot going on. So the fact that he said yes to this interview, I know we're all super grateful, and we can't wait to have him on.
And I also think, Ashley, I think it helps to get this out even more. We understand that Victor Oladipo's name is already out there. He's had terrific success in the NBA before these catastrophic injuries, but the more he's seen, the more his name gets out there. If we can contribute to getting him back into the NBA, so be it. I think it's going to be great to have him on. He deserves to be back in the league. He's an all-around good dude, as I'm sure you know very well. And I'm just glad we're getting the opportunity to have him voice his whole situation in the public. It'll be nice to hear his voice talk about it.
Well said, Amen. Dwight, because, you know, look, all the exposure that can possibly help to get him back to the league is a good thing. And we're stoked to have him in. And you're right, Dwight and Ashley, you know this. I don't know him well, but I've interviewed him a couple of times. He's always been just a really, really cool dude, you know, on two ways at NBA TV and that kind of stuff. So we're all out here pulling for Victor Oladipo. There's a report that the Kings are kind of looking into him a little bit. Maybe there's a signing there, but we'll talk with Victor Oladipo about that in about an hour. Dr. X may be making a sighting today. There's a rumor that B-Dot might actually be dropping in today. Both of those additions would be phenomenal. We love them both, of course. So let's dive in. And this is a Victor Oladipo inspired episode right here. And, you know, we all know about the two injuries in 2019. The right knee injury, the torn right quadriceps tendon, April of 2023, a torn left patella tendon. I mean, like, one of these injuries could be devastating. He had two of them, and at 34, he's still playing, still balling, and on the comeback trail. Guys, and so his story has not been fully told yet, okay? All that said, we are, you know, getting near the end, okay? So I don't think it's unfair to call him a what-if player because Victor Oladipo had like 5 or 6 amazing years, and then these injuries hit, and it got weird, okay? So he got robbed of a lot of really fruitful years of his career, and that's the crux of this top 5 right here. We're going to go into what-if players, okay? And I want to go one by one. So, like, and Ashley, I want you to go first since you booked VO. So you're going to hit us with 5, then Dwight's going to hit us with 5, then I'm going to hit you with 5, then Ashley with 4, Dwight with 4, me with 4, and we'll kind of build our top 5s that way, and it'll be a little bit more interactive. So, Ashley, let's get the ball rolling here. Again, we're going from 5 down to 1. Hit us with number 5 on your What If Players top 5.
Number 5, I will have Victor Oladipo on that. He'll be my number 5.
Nice.
Like you said, most improved player, first team all defense, all NBA third team, averaged 23, 5, 4, 2 before his injuries. So, it's kind of like you said, what if? He was playing at such an elite level, so athletic, one of the best two-way players in the league. So I'll have him for me at number 5.
Love the breakdown, too. I don't think it's talked about enough what a good defender Vic was. Led the league in steals one year at 2.4. That's a monster number. All right, Dwight, who's number 5 on your What If Players list?
Number 5 for me is going to be current Memphis head coach Anthony Penny Hardaway. He was his inspiration was obviously Magic Johnson. When we saw Magic Johnson at Michigan State coming to the NBA back in 1980, it was unheard of, at least to our eyes, to see somebody at 6'9" be able to handle the ball, be a point guard, to be able to dribble, pass, and shoot as effective as Irvin Magic Johnson did it back in the late 70s with Michigan State and Judd Heathcote, where they won a national championship over Larry Bird and Indiana State University, probably to this day one of the highest, most highly rated college basketball championships that we've watched in North America. That goes back to 1979. The Magic came into the NBA and won Rookie of the Year, Most Valuable Player in the NBA Finals, playing center in Game 6 in Philadelphia, where he scored 42 points, 15 rebounds, and 7 assists, I believe, were the statistics. And Anthony Penny Hardaway was the next generation of that, to come in as athletic as he was, to be 6'7", 6'8", to be athletic, to be able to play the point guard position, dribble, pass, and shoot, to be an above-average defender, and to see all of that be cut down due to injury. He and Shaquille O'Neal in Orlando could have had a championship run. And I think if Penny had been healthy, does Shaq stay in Orlando? I'm not sure of the exact timeline. Maybe Shaq would have gone to the Lakers regardless, because that's just LA and who Jerry West was at the time. But that duo of Shaquille O'Neal and Penny Hardaway could have been the standard for two players to lead championship teams coming into the NBA that we see today. But Anthony Penny Hardaway, his knee injuries derailed a career that could have been having him in the conversation for greatest of all time, as far as I'm concerned. And at the very least, one of the best point guards of all time.
Well, Dwight, it's funny because number 5 on my list is also Penny Hardaway. His first 4 seasons, he was old school SGA. 21, 4, and 7 with 2 steals. That was sort of the average if you look at those years. 3 All-Stars. He was an MVP candidate. He had the cartilage damage in his left knee. Then he had the microfracture. He later called that the worst decision of his life, to have the microfracture surgery. That was while he was with Phoenix, and he was getting his career kind of recharged and going again. And then he had microfracture, and that was it. Penny might have been a top 10 point guard all time. And obviously he's not, because his career was very, very truncated due to the aforementioned injuries. All right, so I got a Penny. Dwight's got a Penny. Ashley's got a VO. Ashley, who's number 4 on your What If Players top 5?
I'm going to say Bill Walton, MVP, Finals MVP, champion. I don't think people really realize how dominant he really was. And then after all those foot injuries, it's a what if. I feel like he could have finished top 10 all time if he would have been able to maintain his health. So yeah, Bill Walton for me, and also rest in peace, Bill Walton. Met him a few times at the University of Arizona. He came there quite often, obviously to broadcast the games on the Pac-12 network, and also spoke with the journalism school quite a few times as well. So Rest in peace, Bill Walton. We miss you and we love you.
Rest in peace, Bill Walton. Over my left shoulder here. I always get this screwed up. You can see anyway, forget it. I'm making a complete ASS out of myself right now. But love me some Bill Walton, and he is on my list as well. Now, Dwight Walton, not Bill Walton, Dwight Walton, who's number 4 on your What If Players top 5?
Same player, Ashley. Good choice. Number 4 is Bill Walton. And listen, didn't he have a game either in the championship game or in the Final Four where he went 21 of 22? I think he missed one shot in that game. Listen, his shooting percentage as a basketball player in general was through the roof. Listen, I think he's one of the best centers of all time, despite all the injuries. I just think he was that good. He was a terrific cerebral player. And I don't want to delve into his personal life just a little bit, which just will accentuate his transition into being a broadcaster. Here was a man that grew up with a major stuttering issue growing up and was a very shy kid because of that, but overcame it, did all of that, went to UCLA under the tutelage of I can't remember the coach's name now, John Wooden at UCLA, considered him to be a father figure. We all know how great he was as a basketball player, has led the youngest team in NBA history to a championship with the Portland Trail Blazers in 1977. And then all of the foot injuries started to creep up on him, which derailed that career. Played with the Boston Celtics in 1986, was an integral part of that championship season, won 6th Man of the Year. Just seeing the symmetry that he had with Larry Bird, Kevin McHale, Robert Parrish, Danny Ainge, that whole crew, it just made sense when the Boston Celtics signed him that year because he just fit. And that's what he personified. Then he transitioned. And you've heard me say it many times on this podcast. I think he was a part of my favorite trio of broadcasters in NBA history. Marv Albert, Steve Snapper Jones, and the late, great Bill Walton. To me, that is the standard for NBA broadcasters in my lifetime. I go to YouTube all the time just to hear those three go back and forth, particularly Snapper and Bill. The camaraderie, the friendship, the love-hate, which was definitely scripted for the broadcast. I think it was awesome. I just think Bill Walton, to me, although he's a Hall of Famer now, his career could have been even better. And I still have him, regardless of the injuries derailing his career. I have him as one of the best centers to ever play in the NBA. May he rest in peace.
Love it. I love all that. Bill Walton is a little bit higher on my list, but he is on my list. All right, so number 4 for me, Ashley, Dwight, and our great audience is Derrick Rose. Derrick Rose, his first 4 seasons, he was electric. Like a tornado's coming through town and sweeping through and knocking down power lines, and it's bouncing on the wet asphalt. That was Derrick Rose. Speaking of bouncy, right? One of the greatest bounce players of all time. He is on the Mount Rushmore of athletic point guards. You think of Russell Westbrook, you think of Derrick Rose. Those 2 guys are on that list, and then you could put a couple others on there. But in his first 4 seasons, and really doing this, there was a crazy coincidence. All right, Derrick Rose, 4 seasons. Penny Hardaway, 4 seasons. Ralph Sampson, who I'm going to get to in a minute, 4 seasons, right? And then it just caved in. VO was like 4 or 5 seasons, right? It's just a weird deal. Like, the rock star age 27 thing. But as I was going through here and even vetting other players that didn't make my top 5, but had shortened careers due to injuries, it was like year 4, bam. And then it happened for a lot of these guys. I have no idea why, but it's a strange coincidence. But first 4 seasons, Derrick Rose was on top of the world, right? We all know this. Then he tore his ACL. I'm not going to bang on Tibbs about that. I know a lot of people do. Look, Tibbs coached the same way the whole time. 2 years ago, Knick fans were complaining about he was running their guys into the ground. So it's not like he did anything differently than he's done with any other player or any other team or any other strategic decision that he's ever made. Okay, I'm not going to bang on Tibbs about that. And I promise you Derrick Rose would not bang on Tibbs about that, at least not publicly. But I don't think privately either. Rose, guys, was a lock for the Hall of Fame. Maybe a top 10 point guard all time. Maybe. But he was a lock for the Hall of Fame. But now he probably won't make it. We have debated it on this show. There are some other guys with really good resumes that had their careers shortened due to injuries that are in the Hall of Fame. Okay. Yep. Now, Bill Walton has the college resume to go with the NBA resume. Derrick Rose does not have that. Like, the NBA resume is going to be the only thing that gets him to the Hall of Fame. And I love Derrick Rose. I'm out here cheering for him, but I'm not sure he's going to get that call from the Hall. But he is number 4 on my What If Players top 5. Ashley, who's number 3 for you?
Well, I will also say with Derrick Rose, because he's on my list, but he's not here yet. It was his style of play. Like, you take a look at John Morant, same type of style of play, always landing on the ground, the explosiveness. He also had a series of ankle injuries over time, all the wear and tear on your body. If you're consistently getting certain injuries, sometimes it travels up in the knee because you're overcompensating. So definitely not Tibbs' fault. Derrick Rose, just his level of play and how he played. But third on my list is Brandon Roy. Kobe Bryant said he was one of the hardest covers. He was a 3-time All-Star by the age of 26. Obviously, incredible footwork. Knee basically had no cartilage whatsoever. But it's crazy when you think about how Portland could have had Roy, Aldridge, and Odin on the same team. Another, what if situation. So we didn't get to see him play to his full potential. But Brandon Roy is number 3 on my list.
Well, number 1 in our hearts is B-Dot. So let's bring him on right now.
What up?
B-Dot, it's so good to see you, brother. How are you, man?
Man, I'm good, man. How about yourself, man? I miss you guys.
Yeah, we miss you too.
Where have you been? Hey.
Take care of these kids, man.
There you go. That's the priority. There you go.
So Dot, I gotta get the update, and we're gonna bring you in on this here. Top 5 what if players. You know that we're having Victor Oladipo on at 3:00. So unfortunately, he's a what if player, right? So it's kind of inspiring what we're doing here. I saw on your IG something about the Gila Monsters and you being on this team. What's going on with that?
Just a little ABA team. One of the homies started out here in Arizona that I'm just trying to help push and give some legit credit. We got some really good players, former pros, current pros, and he's trying to do the program the right way. And because the ABA has been very watered down, especially on the West Coast, on the East Coast, they do it perfectly as should. So just trying to help out and stay in shape before heading to Russia.
Love it, dude. Talk to us about the Russia gig you got coming up. What's going on with that?
Yeah, they have a media league out there. Mozgov plays in it. My boy Ty Glover, who also played, with one of Dr. Phil's TBT teams. Also, my dude Terrence Smith, he plays out there. So it's a dope league, and I'm very excited about it. I already talked to Mozgov. He said the league is super dope. I'm gonna love Moscow, and just come with good spirits and a great attitude, and you don't have to worry about anything else.
B-Dot, that's amazing, man. Have ball, will travel, but you got to pay the man. You got to pay the man. All right? He ain't giving this away. All right, Dot, I want to get you in on this, man. And I'm not sure, your prep level for this. Did you come up with a top 5 what if players? Do you want to maybe give us a 5 in no particular order? You kind of call your shot there, brother.
Yeah, I got a top 5.
All right, cool. So give us 5, 4, and 3, and then you'll get caught up with us.
5, 4, and 3. Okay. These people are some of my favorite players watching growing up and in my era. So my number 5 is Brandon Roy. He was one of my favorite players by far, easily. I love under the radar, but still was a bucket. In terms of, he didn't talk a lot. He just did what he needed to do on the court and got it done. My number 4 is my all-time favorite player, Tracy McGrady. And the reason why I say what if, he had those chronic back and those knee injuries, and he was the second best shooting guard. He was neck and neck with Kobe, and even Kobe said like T-Mac probably was the hardest person for him to guard just because of his frame and athleticism and ability to score. And then number 3, someone that also hit close to home is Penny Hardaway. 6'7" superstar point guard, with elite athleticism. A healthy Penny would have easily become one of the greatest point guards of all time. So that's my 5 through 3, or my 3 through 5, as you asked so far.
Yeah, man. Just wanted to get you caught up. I did. I was doing this, and Penny's on my list, and I was like, I just got this vibration, like a comp just comes to you out of nowhere, and I'm like, Penny Hardaway, like SGA is kind of like a new school Penny Hardaway, like not a perfect comp, but guys, I went to and their games are a little different, but there are a lot of similarities. And you think about body type. Penny, 6'7", 195. SGA, 6'6", 195. Body-wise, they really kind of look like one another, but just kind of a random take right there. But I do think there's some similarities in those two guys. Dwight, let's get number 3 from you, man. Who you got?
What I will say, Penny was much more athletic than Shea. I'll say that. But number 3 for me, he had a great career in spite of all the injuries, but Grant Hill, to me, is number 3 for me. I think he was LeBron James before LeBron James. And we would have seen, we'd be talking about Grant Hill a lot differently had he been healthy for the majority of his career. We talk about him in high regard right now, but I think it would have been even a lot more had he been healthy. He's now gone on to be the director of USA Basketball, great media career, but we saw the athleticism at the beginning of his career, dunking on many people in the NBA, caught a lot of bodies, obviously. His ability to dribble and pass the ball were exceptional. His jump shot came to the party a lot later in his career, specifically after the injuries, because all you can do while rehabbing most of the time, especially with lower body injuries, is improving your jumper. So I think later on in his career, we saw Grant Hill's shooting prowess greatly improve, especially when he was playing for Mike D'Antoni and the Phoenix Suns. So again, although he had a Hall of Fame career, no doubt about it, I think we'd be talking about him in much higher regard, possibly the greatest of all time conversation, had Grant Hill been a lot healthier throughout his career. Again, very successful Hall of Fame career, but he would have been a lot more applauded, if you will, had it not been for the injuries. Grant Hill, number 3 for me.
Dwight, I love it. And how I phrase that, I've always had 2 layers of the Hall of Fame. There are Hall of Famers, and then there are all-time greats, right? All-time greats are Kobe and Mike and Wilt and those types of guys. Then you have a lot of Hall of Famers that aren't all-time greats. Grant is a little blurry with that because the Duke and what he did there, maybe he is an all-time great when you merge that. But my point is, if he didn't have all those injuries, he for dang sure would have been a no doubt about it all-time great. But now it's blurry and debatable. Number 3 for me, in another one of these 4-year, and then it went haywire guys, Ralph Sampson. And he's a bit old-timey at this point, right? Not necessarily for me and Dwight. All right, but for a lot of you youngins, Ralph Sampson, who is that? Okay, listen up. Ralph and Bill Walton are the only players to win 3 straight College Player of the Year awards. Only guys, Ralph Sampson, Bill Walton. Okay, Ralph was the first overall pick in the draft, 1 Rookie of the Year. In his first 3 seasons, I'm kind of averaging the whole thing. 21-11, 3 assists, 2 blocks, and 1 steal. Hello, Hall of Fame. I mean, those are incredible numbers, all right? He was an all-star his first 4 seasons. So first overall pick, all the College Player of the Years, 4 for 4 making all-star teams. I mean, this guy was on an ascent to be absolutely bar none a top 10 center in league history. That there's no other trajectory he was on than that. Boom. Left knee, said, nope, that's not happening, Ralph, unfortunately. And he never made another all-star team. And, drifted into role player status and just was never the same. Because when you suffered, knee injuries back in the day, ask Bernard King and all these guys, you came back, but you weren't the same dude. Now it's an expectation that you're going to be the same dude. Even on an Achilles, I think Tyrese Halliburton this year is going to be phenomenal. Okay. I'm expecting it. Whereas back in Ralph's day, it was I don't know, here we go. And so it didn't go his way, but we love Ralph Sampson. We shout him out. He is number 3 on my What If Players top 5. Back to Ashley for number 2.
A guy that we never got to see play an NBA game, and that's Len Bias, who was drafted number 2 overall. And the Celtics dynasty was about to transform away from Larry Bird onto him, and he died, unfortunately, 2 days after the draft. We'll never know if he could become an all-time great, but it would have been very interesting to see if Jordan would still own the East had Len been able to play in the league. So that's another one of those guys on my list that is no longer with us. And again, we missed out on a potentially incredible basketball player and an incredible career. So that's a big what if.
It certainly is, and beyond tragic. He is on my list as well, Ashley. A little teaser there. Dwight Walton, who's number 2 on your What If Players top 5.
My number 2 player, unfortunate that he died tragically in a car accident. I had the pleasure of playing against this player when he was with the former Yugoslavia. I played against the former Yugoslavia about, I want to say, 8 to 10 times in my career. And I had the pleasure of seeing all these players before they came to North America. Talking about Tony Kukoc, Vlade Divac, Dino Raja, Zarko Paspai. All these guys played, Starko Vrankovic. All these players played in the NBA. But the best player, from my opinion, on those teams was Drazen Petrovic. Drazen Petrovic didn't get much playing time with the Portland Trail Blazers, but then when he was traded to the New Jersey Nets, his career took off. And this player played with an enormous amount of confidence. He was arrogant. He was cocky. He had swag. Just ask Michael Jordan about Drazen Petrovic. He'll tell you how competitive of a player he was. He did not care who was in front of him. Took Michael Jordan to the woodshed a couple of times. And Mike may not admit that, but it's the truth. I saw it with my own 2 eyes. I had to guard Drazen Petrovic a couple of times. Unfortunate for me, because I didn't know who he was. But I found out quite quickly who he was. I had to stand at attention when guarding Drazen Petrovic. Again, I know former Yugoslavia doesn't exist anymore, but for those of us that are old enough, all I think about is just imagine if Yugoslavia was together to this day. The players that country have churned out over the years, they would definitely be in the conversation as one of the greatest basketball countries of all time. And that includes the U.S. and Canada and Spain and all the great countries that have put out basketball products today. Drazen Petrovic, for me, had he had his entire career, he would have gone down as one of the best 2 guards, not only in NBA history, but in basketball history overall. Drazen Petrovic, for those of y'all that don't know, go to YouTube and check him out. And I'm telling you, ask Michael Jordan himself. He'll tell you how great Drazen Petrovic was as a basketball player.
Dwight, I want to follow up on Drazen with you. So he talked a lot of trash. And
you better believe it.
And you think about wide receivers in the NFL, right? They talk a lot of trash. You think about boxers, right? Especially pre-fight, they're at the weigh-in, it's all talking trash and stuff like that. Drazen, to me, is in the Hall of Fame, but I never played against him, okay? So
I did.
He talk trash to you? Talk to us about that.
Yeah. Yeah, like I said, it's one thing to try to guard somebody and feel helpless, but then when he's backing it up with all of the trash talk, and you want to go back, but when you're not giving it back to him offensively the same way I was getting it, I had to shut my mouth. I had to take it. Of course, I was trying to be as competitive as I could be, but that man right there that you see on the screen, the utmost respect to him as a basketball player. Again, the Portland Trailblazers, I think they didn't use him because it was new back then and they weren't sure if he could handle it. But once he got traded to the New Jersey Nets and Bill Fitch let him play, the rest, as they say, is history. This man didn't care who was in front of him. And I know I've repeated it. I'm repeating myself. Ask Michael Jordan. He'll tell you himself how great Drazen Petrovic is. Drazen used to go at him time and time again and had better nights than him in one-on-one confrontations. That is factual analysis. Go watch it for yourself. That's how great Drazen was. What we talk about Larry Bird and his trash talk, Drazen Petrovic definitely deserves to be in the Hall of Fame of all-time trash talkers. He was that good, he was that arrogant, he was that cocky, and he could back it up. That's why I have the utmost respect for Drazen Petrovic. He's definitely, went back and forth on who my number one and number two was. Number one will be obvious, but Drazen was definitely, in my mind, gunning for that number one spot for what if in terms of career.
I love it. 2 years with the New Jersey Nets. He was over 20 points per game in both of those years. And it was like 44% and 45% from three. Just crazy, crazy three-point numbers. All right, yeah, unbelievable. All right, B-Dot, who is number two on your What If Players top five?
All right, so my list is based off injuries, because if I base it off, what if injuries, because if not, clearly Len Bias and Drazen, they're 1A, 1B. But right. for my number two, I have a 2A and a 2B. My 2A is Derrick Rose. And then my 2B is Maurice Stokes. Three-time All-Star, three-time All-NBA in 3 seasons. He averaged 16 points, 17 rebounds, 5 assists. And if he didn't get, paralyzed, that's one of the biggest what ifs ever. Yeah, that was back in the late 50s, early 60s, but still we're going by, these what if players, three All-Stars, 3 All-NBAs in 3 seasons, averaged freaking 16 rebounds, and he was a better passer than those big men back then. So he's definitely those two are my 2A and 2B. Derrick Rose, of course, we know why. He's 2A. He was one of the only people at the time that was challenging LeBron James in the East at that time. Outside of the Paul George and Danny Grangers, he was the one that was really on his head trying to take that crown from him in the East, before the injuries got to him.
Maurice Stokes tragically landed on his head while playing, and it led to all kinds of complications, the paralysis that B-Dot talked about. And because it's in the 50s, it's, a long time ago, but I love that you brought up Maurice Stokes, B-Dot. That's phenomenal work by you. Cause he is one of the top what if players of all time. No doubt about it. Number two for me is Bill Walton. Bill Walton, guys. And I've done the calculations on this. I came up with a college basketball Mount Rushmore. It's Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, number one. Number two is Bill Walton. Number three is Bill Russell. To me, that's not debatable. Number four is where you can get cheeky or you can, get optional. You can go Christian Laettner. You can go Pete Maravich. You can go Ralph Sampson, 3-Player of the Year award. Like, there's a lot of candidates for that 4th spot, okay?
Elvin Hayes.
Elvin Hayes is a great call, Dwight. He's totally in the running for number 4. Great call. But 1, 2, and 3 to me is pretty cemented. Kareem, Bill Walton, and Bill Russell. And if you don't really know Bill Russell, not Bill Walton, Bill Russell's college career, please go look it up. Yes, he was that winner in college too, okay? The guy was just freaking unbelievable, all right? He's 3rd on the college list and easily in the top 10 on anybody's NBA list. But for Bill Walton, follow my logic here. it's a little bit, just follow my logic here. Bill Walton, number 2 college player ever. Kareem, number 1 college player ever. Kareem is number 2 on my all-time list. And really the lowest you can have Kareem is 3. If you're doing an all-time list and you have Kareem below 3, that's tough for me. 6 MVPs and 6 rings? And he was the leading scorer in NBA history for a million years. How can Kareem fall below 3 on anybody's all-time list? How? Okay, anyway, so let's go back to Walton here. By that pattern, okay, Kareem, number 1 college, number 2 overall. Walton, number 2 college. He should at least be a top 10 player all time, as Ashley said earlier. And he comes out, phenomenal NBA player, MVP, wins a ring, and, all the injuries and stuff like that derailed him and created a huge what if for him. Because, yes, Bill Walton is a legend of the game. He's a Hall of Famer. He's enshrined, super famous, right, from all the broadcasting. And a lot of people love him because of how dang funny he is, right, or was. May he rest in peace. Love you, Bill. But he's not a top 10 center all time. He's not top 10 overall. It's kind of back to are you just a Hall of Famer or are you an all-time great, right? Well, the injuries make that blurry. Dwight, cover your ears because Dwight Walton has had a million surgeries. Bill Walton had 30 plus surgeries as a player. 30 plus surgeries. This is back in the 70s. Guys, this is back in the 70s and 80s when they only kind of knew what they were doing. Okay? Think about that. He only played 468 NBA games. And I looked it up because I was good friends with Bill Walton. And he would he was a big biker. And he would bike and he'd get in these terrible accidents biking. And it would take him a year to recover. And then he told me a story about he's out there on his bike on the first day back. And he just had a great ride. And he's cruising along and something happens and he falls off his bike and he's right back. He had a hip thing. He had surgery right back in the muck after one day. Bill Walton went through it, man, as a player and later on in his life. And Bill, we still love you down here on earth. He's number 2 on my what if player top 5. Ashley, who's number 1 for you?
Well, I was going to say at least the NBA wasn't cracking down on crazy things that you could do or take to feel good during that time. We all know even despite the injuries, Bill Walton was feeling good. He was feeling good. He was great. I miss him so much.
He was hip to the medicinal thing before a lot of other people were, right, Ashley?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. I mean, he would talk about it all the time, and you saw the types of shirts he would wear. I'm like, oh yeah. That guy knows how to have fun.
Grateful Dead.
Yes, he knows how to have a good time. So my number 1, of course, being from the great Chicago, Illinois, is my hometown hero, Derrick Rose. Now, I'm going to say straight up, he's a Hall of Famer. I don't care what any of you guys say. I'm not debating it with y'all at all. This is just what this is my opinion. But youngest MVP of all time. The Bulls won 62 games that year. They were beating LeBron James in the regular season. He was averaging 25 points, almost 8 assists per game. And then obviously he tore his ACL game 1 in Philly. And I will say I do not like Philly fans after that, seeing how they reacted to that injury. So I will always have beef with the Philadelphia 76ers fans. They're also just insane and crazy. But it's unfortunate because what would have happened if Derrick Rose stayed healthy, right? The Bulls were right there. They were right there competing with LeBron James, able to beat him in the regular season. What would the playoffs would have looked like? So for me, we never got to see Derrick Rose in his prime. He was right there, just getting started at that peak. And it's just really unfortunate. That was a great Chicago Bulls team. Joakim Noah, Carlos Boozer, Luol Deng, those were all, just amazing to watch, but also even later on in my sports career, getting to interview some of those guys, meant the world to me just because I am from Chicago and that was a team that I literally watched religiously every single night. League Pass, I did not miss a Chicago Bulls game during that era. And it's just, for me, Derrick Rose, biggest what if, and then being able to interview him, a few years later when he was I believe he was with Minnesota when I got to interview him. The only time I've been starstruck in my life, because he meant so much to me and our city. I was like shaking, but just being able to talk with him, about his comeback and his return. And then when he scored did he score like 50 points or something in a game? With Minnesota,
yes.
that one.
Yeah, Minnesota.
Something like
50.
that, 53.
Yep.
Minnesota.
I was crying. Everyone was crying. The basketball was crying just because it meant so much to him. So Derrick Rose, for me, my Chicago hero, is number one on my list.
I love it, man. I love it. I'm going to give you all a recap of our list here in just a minute. I gotta go thought bubble here with B-Dot on Joakim Noah. Do you remember when Joakim Noah was trolling Cleveland? B-Dot. It's my favorite press conference in NBA history. And he's going, he asked the reporters, you guys want a vacation in Cleveland? Nobody's ever said that they want to come vacate. Do you remember that? It was the greatest troll of a city of all time, dude.
The truest LeBron nemesis of all time. I understand Dylan Brooks and I see what he's doing, but no one could not stand LeBron like Joakim Noah. He could not anything.
Agreed.
Oh, he couldn't stand it, man. Yeah.
Agreed.
Do you remember that game where LeBron was at the free throw line and Joakim Noah's on the bench talking all kinds of junk to him and like antagonizing the heck out of? Those are the good old days. I miss Joakim Noah, man. And you remember, Joakim Noah had this face. That was Joakim Noah. I call it the Joakim Noah face. Like, let's play D. Let's go. This isn't a country
remember
club.
when he was
the Joakim
clapping?
Noah face.
He was like clapping. It was like, I think it was Mario getting chewed out by either LeBron or Chris Bosh or something like that. And Joakim just gets there and he's like, yeah, like clapping in their face. I'm like, that is hilarious. He was such an instigator. Such an instigator. And he talked so much trash.
Yes. Yep.
Hell of a player.
Huge
College
fan.
and NBA.
Yeah.
Shouts to Joakim Noah, man. All right, Dwight Walton, who is number one on your what if player top five?
Well, it's if I can ask Jason and Kai to cue up the video if you have it, and then I'll give you my response. That right there is one of the best college sequences of all time. I was watching that game live. Here it is again. Len Bias knocks down the jumper, steals the inbounds pass from Kenny Smith, and reverse dunks it. One of the best sequences in college basketball history. Len Bias. I know B-Dot's criteria for this list is different, but the reality is Len Bias was Grant Hill before Grant Hill, LeBron James before LeBron James, and possibly would have gone toe-to-toe with Michael Jordan and the Chicago Bulls had he lived. I remember exactly where I was when I found out that he had passed away. I was with the Canadian national team in Toronto on that June summer night. We had an exhibition game against Israel. The next morning, I'm in the car driving back to Montreal, and I'm listening to the news, and I hear about the tragic death of Len Bias. I couldn't believe it. He was drafted that night, and then the very next morning, I hear about his tragic death. The reality is, and Ashley mentioned it at the top of this segment, the Celtics were looking forward to transitioning from Larry Bird and basically handing the keys to Len Bias. The Celtics, their run would have continued had Len Bias been a part of that Celtics franchise. Even for me to talk about it right now is very emotional. Lefty Giselle, that whole Maryland program, just seeing the interviews from all the various local media outlets to ESPN, just talking about this. I can remember it vividly. I'm still in shock just talking about it right now. The what if with Len Bias. Len Bias's career would have been spectacular. and we'd be talking about him and the Boston Celtics with even much greater respect, I believe, had Len Bias lived. Bird was still in the prime of his career, but he was starting to suffer the debilitating back injuries that we saw him, that derailed his career towards the end of his career. Kevin McHale was going through a plethora of foot injuries at that time as well. The whole idea, the whole premise behind drafting Len Bias was to transition from one of the best teams of all time. And I find it interesting. I forget how the Celtics and Red Auerbach acquired that pick that put them in position to draft Len Bias, who was clearly, in my opinion, the best player in college basketball at that time. I forget the finagling that went. The Celtics were a great team, and they still managed to get that number 2 pick. I forget how it was done, but they got it. Red Auerbach took him, and unfortunately, the night after he was drafted, he tragically died. And it's a shame. It's definitely, to me, the number one what if in terms of career had Len Bias lived to play a basketball career in the NBA.
Well said. Brad Doherty was the first overall pick in 1986. Len Bias was number 2. Brad Doherty, phenomenal player. He also a what-if player. Maybe not to this level, top 5, but shout out to Brad Doherty and everything that Dwight just said. Dot, who is number 1 on your what-if player top 5?
You're going to like this one, Rick. My number 1 what if is Jonathan Kuminga. If Steve Kerr did not coach the Golden State Warriors, Jonathan Kuminga would... Nah.
Well played. Well played. You got me. You got me. Keep going back to that well.
No, my biggest what if, man. My biggest what if, like I said, I based mine off injury. I wasn't even thinking the whole aspect of everything. Is Bill Walton. And just for everything Rick said before, and also just the dominance he had, in that short amount of time that he played with those, a little bit over 450 games. And just you can see that Portland Trailblazers drop off before he got injured. They were 50-10. And when he got injured, I think they went 8-14, finished the season 58-24. And he just couldn't get, like Ashley was saying, he had those pain-killing injections and, those, navicular bone problems that just didn't heal properly. And he was on pace, we don't want, we could compare him to, the Kareems and the Bill Waltons, and he was ahead of his time with the passing, of your Nikola Jokic and your Sabonis. Not saying he would have had the longevity career that Kareem had, but in terms of his numbers and what he did, he was not neck and neck, but he was right there under Kareem in terms of eclipsing as one of the best centers to ever play the game. So my number 1 is Bill Walton.
You know what, Dot? Rick?
Yeah, go ahead.
If I can say something, Rick. Dot, I believe also in 1977, Bill Walton played how many games? I want to say 55 or 58, and was named the league's most valuable player. That's how great he was. Yep. That's how awesome he was. Barely played 60 games, and was still named the NBA's most valuable player. That's how
in
awesome
58 games. Yep, in 58 games. Yeah, and he had that. He was a great player. He had the interior value that Kareem had. He had the defensive orchestration, similar to Bill Russell in terms of he was not a bad defender, and like I said, he could pass it. He could pass that thing. Like, man, yeah, he was, man. Bill.
He was Jokic, man. He was Jokic.
Yep, exactly.
Victor Oladipo is going to be joining us in about 10 minutes. We're excited about that. And we have come to my number 1 of my What If Players top 5. It is Len Bias. We were talking, Dennis Scott, obviously NBA legend, head coach of the Gotham City Bockers, Dwight, Dr. X. They were in the Uber with me and Dennis as well. We were all talking, and we were talking about Len Bias. And Dennis was telling us the story of coming up and being a contemporary of Len Bias and And so I asked Dennis, and I'm paraphrasing, like, was the hype real? Like, was Len Bias going to come to the NBA and just dominate? He said there's no doubt that Len Bias was going to dominate the NBA. No doubt. This was not a prospect. This was a generational talent who was going to come in and buzzsaw the league. And again, I'm paraphrasing what Dennis said, but Dennis said, no. This guy was can't miss. There was no maybe. There was no maybe about Len Bias. Obviously, tragically passed right after the 1986 draft. And it still hurts all of us hoop heads. And what are we, 40 years later? And it still hurts. I want to take you guys into, to me, he's the biggest what if player. Because based on what Dennis said, based on what Dwight said, and what a lot of other people have said, he might have been the GOAT. Okay? The key words are might have been, right? But you can't say that he wouldn't have been the GOAT. You can't say it. We don't know. Okay? He did not get a chance to play one NBA game and might have been the GOAT. So for me, that's the biggest what if in NBA history. I want to take this a step further. Okay? If Len Bias, if things go differently, all right, and he does not leave this earth, how many championships does Larry Bird have? Think about that. Larry Bird and the Celtics won the championship in 1986, then got Len Bias. Again, Dwight, we need to launch an investigation. How do the defending champions get the number 2 overall pick of the rights to Len Bias? I don't know. I'm sure it's out there. AI has the answer to you. I just don't know it off the top of my head. But so 86, the Celtics win it. 87 Lakers win it. 88 Lakers win it. Then Pistons. If Len Bias, if things go differently, Boston probably wins one of those next 4, maybe 2 of the next 4. Okay. Agreed. Then McHale has 5. Then Bird has 5. Then Magic and Kareem. Then Kareem might only have 4. And Magic might have gone from 5 to 3. Do you see where I'm going with this? Because Boston could have won more titles. And titles aren't the only defining thing for your legacy, right? They're not the only defining thing. But for me, they're the most important thing. That's where we start, right? How many rings do you have? Okay. How many MVPs do you have? Okay. What's your rank in scoring and assists and blah, 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 blah. But we start with chips. Okay. So does Magic have 5 if things go differently with Len Bias? Does Kareem have 6? Does Bird only have 3? Does Isaiah Thomas have 2 or none? Do you see what I'm saying here? Like the what if possibilities and ripple effects. You can go on for days and days and days. God bless the memory of Len Bias, and so that is our top 5 of what if players. So let me give these lists one more time. Ashley had number 1, Rose, Len Bias, then Brandon Roy, then Bill Walton, then Victor Oladipo, who's going to be joining the show here shortly. Dwight had Len Bias, then Drazen Petrovic, then Grant Hill, Bill Walton, Penny Hardaway. Dodd had Bill Walton, then a combo platter, Derrick Rose and Maurice Stokes, then Penny, T-Mac, and Brandon Roy. I had Bias, Walton, Sampson, Rose, and Penny. All right. I want to do another Victor Oladipo segment with you guys, and I want to talk about who should sign him. Victor Oladipo's on a comeback tour, and he's trying to get back to the league. I'm going to make this short and sweet. I'm going to give you some teams because I've gone through the rosters. The Denver Nuggets should sign Victor Oladipo. Guys, have you seen Denver's bench? Let me answer that question for you. You're like, nah, I haven't seen. Because there is no bench to see, okay? Their bench right now is Marvin Bagley. You didn't even know he was on the Nugs. You didn't.
Yes, I did.
No, I know you did, Dwight. Our audience is like, wait, Marvin Bagley's on the Nugs? Yes, okay. Deron Holmes, still waiting on him, coming back from the injury. Spencer Jones, woo! Julian Strother, and Tyus Jones.
Didn't they just sign Lonnie Walker?
Lonnie Walker too. Lonnie Walker.
Okay.
Lonnie Walker.
If it just happened, then all right. Yeah. But I look. God bless Lonnie Walker for getting back into the league. I like that. but Lonnie Walker's not moving the needle for me on the Denver bench. I'm sorry, he's not, okay? Westbrook would move the needle. DeRozan would move the needle. Even Brandon Williams, remember the Mavericks point guard? I don't know why he's still out there. But anyway, their bench. So I start there. I say Denver should get into the Victor Oladipo business. Miami needs guard depth badly. Obviously, he played there. Minnesota needs guard depth. Dante DiVincenzo's probably out all year. To me, Orlando, the first team Victor played for, could use wing depth. Indiana, and I know I'm getting kind of nitpicky here, they need a third string shooting guard. And you're like, really? Yeah, that's how deep I go in these rosters. And then Sacramento, and their reports are that they're kind of looking into Vic. I mean, why not? It's one of 30 teams in the NBA, and it's a gig in the NBA. So I got Denver, Miami, Minnesota, Orlando, Indiana, and Sac, and Denver is my call. Ash, where do you think Victor Oladipo should play? Who do you think should sign Vic?
So, I mean, as I'm hearing the Kings, obviously, we've all heard that, but I want him to actually go to a team that has a shot at winning, right? I would love to see Victor contribute to a high-level team that can make the playoffs next year. I think it would be a great story, and I would love to see him be able to compete at the highest level, and I just don't think the Kings provide that. But like you said, the Denver Nuggets, they were only able to win one championship with Jokic, Jamal Murray, Aaron Gordon. I want to see them back there. So I like that. I like that, Rick. I think that would be a really good fit for him. And then, as you said, Miami Heat, you just got arguably one of the best players in the NBA in Giannis Antetokounmpo, and you're not bringing any guard play around him. Crazy work. So I would say, like you said, Denver Nuggets, Miami Heat would be the best options for him if he wants to compete at a high level and potentially make it to the playoffs and win a championship.
Dot, what says you? Who should sign Victor?
I like the Indiana Pacers or the Miami Heat. Them getting back Tyrese Halliburton, past first point guard, probably one of the many few pure point guards we have in the league. And we see how well Vic shoots the ball. He shoots that pill like crazy. He's just on a crazy clip. More improved from beforehand. And then, of course, with Giannis, and like I said, both of them, Giannis being that pass-friendly point forward, it's going to get Victor a lot of shots, especially on that fast break with Halliburton and Giannis. Oh, yeah, that I would love to see that. I would love to see. I think those are my two favorite fits. And he has history with the Indiana Pacers. Who would not want to see him back in a Pacers uniform? I know I would love that. And it's on the East. Keep him on the East. Keep my mans on the East.
General Manager Dwight Walton, what says you? Who should sign Vic?
I'm with Dot and Ashley. Sacramento, while it sounds all good and dandy, and I understand that there have been talks with him personally with the Kings, but I want to see him with a contender to where his mileage won't be used as much. Listen, while he is trying to come back and he's years removed from the NBA, at the end of the day, he still is 34 years old. I'd like to see him slotted onto a team where his role is completely defined. And I think that would happen with the Miami Heat. Yes, the Heat signed Tim Hardaway Jr., but I think there's a slot in there to where Oladipo could be in a 8 or 9-man rotation where he could replace a 2-guard or a small forward and fit in a nice little niche to where he could play 14 to 18 minutes a night. Not too taxing, but contributing to an NBA contender. We could talk about the Pacers as well. That will be a nice homecoming. Played college there, played in the NBA there. I believe he's from there. So that makes a ton of sense as well. But at the end of the day, I just think a team that's contending, the Pacers are contending, the Heat are contending, and he would slot into where his usage rate wouldn't be high, it wouldn't be low, it will be just right. Again, 14 to 18, 16 to 20 minutes per game is where I think Victor Oladipo would fill in nicely with a contending team, two teams in particular, the Pacers and the Heat.
All right. I love it. Timing is perfect. So without further ado, let's welcome on two-time All-Star Victor Oladipo, Most Improved Player winner a few years back. And there he is, one of the best ballers we've seen in the last 20 years. Victor Oladipo is on Beyond the Surface on the X-Rated Sports Network. Victor,
What's
thanks
up,
for joining
how
us.
y'all doing, man? Hey, guys, how y'all doing? Great to see y'all. Great to see everyone.
My dog.
Good to see you. Thank you so much for doing this for us. It's great to have you on.
Thank you. Thank you for wanting me on. I appreciate it. It means a lot.
Of course.
Victor, what do you know about this B-Dot guy down here? What do you know about B-Dot?
Me and B-Dot go way back, man. He a real one.
My dog. Good to see you, brother, my boy.
Bruh, good to see you, brother. Great to see you. You always, man.
So Victor, we are here for your comeback. And we were just talking about teams that would make sense for you. But let's rewind to last month. The private workout in Las Vegas that you orchestrated, you invited general managers and scouts. How did that go? How do you think you performed? What was the feedback you got from that?
I mean, it went really well. I got great feedback. It was quite a few teams there. Also, beat writers were there. Scouts were in the cut and hiding in there as well. So, I was, honestly, I was just overwhelmed with emotion just because of, the game. It's the game I love. And, I'm just not going to give up on it. So, to see everyone come out there and it be such a great turnout was just a blessing. And I was thankful.
It was great to see. Ashley, come on in here.
Yeah. So again, thank you for being here. I want to kind of rewind back and then come to the present moment here. You were drafted second overall to NBA All-Star, Most Improved Player, to now fighting for a chance to play in the NBA again. What did it teach you about your identity outside of basketball? And what is keeping you walking away from the game?
Well, great question. It has taught me more than I could even explain about myself. And it taught me what others see that I didn't see in myself. And now I finally am at a point in my life where I can honestly sit here and say, I know who I am. And it's teaching me a lot about my character, my heart, and my will. And, I identify with those things and it makes me who I am. As far as walking away, this basketball journey for me wasn't a no-brainer. I wasn't a no-brainer player. It wasn't like I was top 10 in high school. It wasn't like I was McDonald's All-American. It wasn't like I was highly souted out my first year in college or one and done. Imagine if I would have walked away during that time. What my career would have been,
true.
what my life would have been, right? Exactly. So for me, I don't listen to people's opinions. No disrespect to anyone. I mean, granted, we all are allowed to have them. And granted, the lay of the land, sometimes, it makes sense what you see, right? But for me, seeing has never been believing. Believing has been seeing. So even though I didn't see it and it wasn't tangible, I knew I could achieve it. So the reality is for me right now, I would never give up on myself, let alone a game that I love. I would never give up on someone I love, and I love the game that much. I have a unique situation as far as like I have an 11-year tenure, but I only play 6 years worth of games. People might say like I'm 34, but I don't feel 34, and honestly, age is an illusion. So for me, I'm just bettering myself every day and focusing on what I can control. That's my approach, my health, how I feel.
He was spitting. When you spitting like that, man.
He was spitting. What happened? Where'd he go?
What?
Y'all can hear me? Y'all get that?
Yeah,
Just making sure.
I could hear you.
So that's really all I'm focused on is just, the controllables. And
We can't see you.
okay,
There you are.
I'm focused on the controllables. Can you see me now? Okay. Focus
Yes.
on the controllables, and then everything else, the powers that be will take care of. So
So I wanted to follow up on that. If a NBA GM called you right now, what version of Victor Oladipo are they getting? And how have the injuries maybe changed your game a little bit? Or are you still the same guy?
I'm never the same. I'm always improving. So I would say you would get the best version of Victor Oladipo. And the best version is the most balanced one. I think when I was young, it was just like go, go, go as fast as I can. Now, being wiser, it's about knowing when to use that speed and knowing when to change my speeds and just being a smarter basketball player. I think the unique thing about me is in my career, I've played in pretty much every role you can think of. So I've been the guy, I've played off the ball, I've played on the ball, I've come off the bench. You know what I mean? I played in the G. Like I've been in every situation you can possibly imagine as far as roles go in the game of basketball in the NBA. And I think that's unique because I can help any team win in any role. So I think you would be getting a steal with a player like me because, I know my capabilities and I'm pretty sure everyone else does. But at the same time, I compliment players and people really well as well. So that's what I would say.
B-Doc, come in here.
All right, Vic, man. I want to just take it, outside of basketball a little bit, man. Like, what is your preparation off the court? What are you doing to, because your basketball is life. So just to get your mental correct, like what is a typical day, non-basketball related day with Vic? Look, are you still doing music? What are the hobbies that you do to get your mind off basketball to come back to it and to give it your all?
Well, I'm never gonna stop singing, bro. I was singing 2 seconds ago before we got on before we got on air.
Yes.
But music just is something that it just makes me feel better. I don't know how else to explain it. I know music lovers will understand that, but it just made me feel better. So I would never not sing. I would never not listen to music. As far as preparation, I do a lot of disconnecting. If I'm being honest, a lot more disconnecting than I did in the beginning of my career. People have a lot of opinions and people have a lot of things to say, but I think it was Oprah who said it in an interview. Sometimes you have to get that stillness in order to hear when God speaks to you. So I've been doing a lot of disconnecting and just spending a lot of time on my own and by myself, as well as with my daughter and my family, and just listening to the depths of who I am and like I said, the power within me. So other than that, I'm working at God's pace, doing God's work, whatever that looks like, whatever that feels like, and doing what I love. So it's been better to balance as far as like, knowing that, I have this over here and this is what Victor does. And then when I go to the court, it's a totally different human being. So finally finding that balance within myself has been really beneficial.
No, I love that, man. I'm glad you're good and healthy physically, mentally, and spiritually and emotionally, man. And
Thank you.
we wish you the
Thank you,
best of
brother.
luck. We wish you the best of God's will. And we already know you're
Thank
gonna
you,
be
brother.
back. So it's
Thank you, bro.
already manifested, bro.
Thank you, bro. Appreciate that. I received that. Thank you.
Come on in, Dwight.
We can't hear you, Dwight. I can't hear you.
Sorry, can you hear me now?
Say it. Yeah, I got you. Yeah, I can hear
Okay.
you.
You and I share a mutual friend in Phil Handy. Phil Handy has dealt with Kyrie, the late great Kobe Bryant, Kyrie Irving, LeBron James, Kawhi Leonard. I was trying to get him onto the show today because you were coming on today, but he's currently in Japan right now, so we couldn't work out the specifics, but he'll come on the show at one point. Just tell me how important he has been to you in terms of this comeback. Again, I've known Phil since 2012, 2013. His reputation, his credentials speak for themselves. How integral a part of your comeback has Phil Handy been?
I mean, he's been essential to say the least. That pro day he did for me, and I've worked out with him quite a few times even before that. But like
Yeah.
him doing that pro day, even after the loss in his family,
Right.
I
Right.
can't really describe the words for a human being to go through that and still like it was a part of the reason why I got so emotional is because there are people out there who are like-minded, are like you. I mean, are cut from a similar cloth than you. It isn't all negative and trying to take advantage, and it's not all of that, right? It's people out here who will sacrifice their feelings for you. And for me, I told Phil, I said, man, it don't matter if I never see you again, whatever you need in life, bro, I got you. Like, it is beyond words and beyond a description, the amount of love and appreciation I have for him and for him doing that for me and my family. Obviously, he's worked with so many great players, and he's done so many great things prior to even meeting me. But for him to take the time to do that for me is something I would cherish for the rest of my life.
Well, as a God-fearing man myself, we all know that through God, all things are possible. And just stick with the plan. Good things are going to happen to you, whether it's in basketball or not. There is a purpose for you here. We're all pulling for you, obviously, to get back into the NBA. But with people like Phil and the right people in your corner, it's going to work out. Somebody will give you an opportunity. You just got to take advantage of it, run with it. Just stay the course, bro. Things are going to work out for you. God bless you, man,
Thank
for
you,
real.
brother. Same,
For
same
real.
to you. I appreciate that. Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah.
So, Victor, I want to go back to something you said earlier in this interview. You said, I know who I am. Who is Victor Oladipo?
Victor Oladipo is a man that moves mountains. Victor Oladipo is someone that he elevates over adversity. Victor Oladipo is somebody that doesn't detour because God's delay does not mean God's denial. Victor Oladipo is someone who loves the game so much that he's not willing to let it go on a bad note. He wants to, just like any relationship that he really would care about, he wants to reconcile and leave it on a good note, on a high note. Because, like I said in the interview a long time ago, I'm in love with the game. Have I been in love with someone in like a person? Yeah, it would be tough to say that until I met my little girl, of course. But like, it's a back and forth relationship. It's a love, and then sometimes it's not so lovely. But I just want to leave the game that I've sacrificed and done everything for in my life. I want to leave it on the highest note I can leave it, and I'm talking about a cappella, the every single note. I want to leave it on the highest note possible. And yeah, that's who I am. I'm somebody that won't quit, and I'm going to keep coming. And that's just how I've always been. It's why I was successful, and it's why I will be in the future.
Victor, thank you for that answer. That was incredible. I want to go back, Victor, to your best season. Your first season with the Indiana Pacers, 23, 5, and 4, 2.4 steals. You led the league. You made your first All-Star team. You won Most Improved. You were All-NBA. You were first team all defense. Okay. Somewhere Tony Allen is saying that. Victor was first team all defense. Okay. So Vic, you were on top of the world at that point. What was that year like in Indiana when you were really the apex of your NBA career and all of the accomplishments and all the attention was coming to you, man. How was that for you?
Man, it was unlike anything explainable. Like you can't put into words how, much that year was just breathtaking. Like it was everything you could imagine. You dream of that as a kid. It's like I wanted that in Orlando, couldn't get it. I wanted to, team up with Russ, really couldn't get it. And then you get to Indiana and they make you the face of the franchise. And not only do they make you that, then you show them why that was the smartest thing they could have done right after that. So it was unbelievable. And then to do it in a place where, they already had embraced me in college and, I had done great things already in that state. It's just, it's a home away from home. So like it was like going back home and scoring 50 in front of your family, but like doing it every night. It was great. Like it was an unbelievable experience. And then, obviously to go up against Braun and take him to 7 games, and our team was just so, fluid, and we played so well together, and people weren't expecting us to be that good. And no, it was just great. It was great to be a part of, and it's a year I always remember, obviously, and something I'll never forget.
Dwight, Ashley, B-Dot, if you guys have another question or two, come on in here whenever you want.
A question or two? I got a million questions. I'm just trying to figure out which ones I want to ask. I always have a million questions. I have to narrow it down, but you mentioned something earlier, and I just want to say, you're well known across the league as just someone who's so humble. You're not just a great basketball player, but you are an amazing person off the court. And when you mention you're able to do anything a team asks you to do, and as a number 2 pick to a guy that led a franchise to someone that's willing to take more of a backseat role if you need to, we don't see that with a lot of NBA players today, right? There's guys that want their team. They want to be the main guy. What can you say about that? And where does this humbleness come from?
Well, first and foremost, I can understand that, especially, if I'm being just honest and frank, how basketball is advertised. We all are kids and we all grow up wanting to be our favorite players. We all grow up wanting to be the Michael Jordans, the LeBron Jameses, the Steph Currys of this league. So it's understandable when guys get to this point and, that's what they want, because that's all they've wanted their whole lives. So I get it. If I had to respond to it, I would say, in order to win, Jordan needed Pippen and everyone else. If I'm being honest, so yes, it's great to be in that role. And yes, it's something that, you want and aspire for, but just understand in that role comes the responsibility of knowing that you can't win alone. It's not possible. There's no one who's done it. Someone had help. Everyone had help. It's not possible. So just understanding that it's a team sport, even though, we advertise individual players, it's a part of the reason why I'm so humble when it comes to the game. Every night even when I was in Indy and I was scoring 23 a night, every night wasn't my night. There are some nights Bojan Bogdanovic, Domas Sabonis. There was some nights other guys got off. You know what I mean? It's just the reality of a team sport. It's just, it's advertised differently, which I get, is how it is. I'm not saying it's no criticisms. It's just, you got to understand the psyche of a human being and why, certain habits come of it afterwards, So I get it, but just never forget, it's 5-on-5 out there. None of us can play 1-on-5. That's not happening. So, just have that understanding and with that responsibility, just have that balance of really focusing on trying to make your teammates better, because that's going to help you win. And winning solves all in our league. I still believe that to this day. So,
and then
as far as humility,
go ahead.
I'm sorry. As far as humility, I got three sisters, my mom and my dad. So that's where the humility come from. I'm being
Well, I love
honest.
it. They raised you right.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
So then, like you were saying, speaking of making your teammates better, I know that there's talks of potentially the Kings looking to sign you and also just use you as more of also a mentorship role to some of the younger guys and be there for them. Is there anyone in particular in this rookie class that you'd be like, man, that'd be so cool to mentor them? And then also talk about the importance of being a veteran in the league. I mean, we're seeing a lot of guys, I feel like, get booted a little bit more quickly these days because they're starting to go younger. But there is this importance of having veteran leadership, especially if you want to compete at the highest level. So talk to me a little bit about that.
Well, first off, to answer your first question, I spend a lot of time with this draft class at the combine, at the draft, and mentoring them in more ways than one. So I don't just want to be a mentor to, I want to be a mentor to everyone, not just one guy, not just young guys, but to everyone. I mentored the whole class, so they honestly mean a lot to me. Just because that was like the first class I actually, went back and just gave my advice and gave, my 2 cents on my experience and what they might be looking forward to. So they like my little brothers, you know what I'm saying? So I really want them to do well. Just because, obviously I played it's a somewhat of a role in their development as far as like getting through the draft and stuff. So yeah, obviously I mean I mentor just people in my everyday life. So like any way I can give advice or even get advice from, because you can learn from everyone. I can learn from those kids too. It wasn't just a one-way street. It was back and forth communication in those rooms. So like, I was learning from them just as much as they were learning from me, which is, I think, is the power of learning and how we can make the most out of any relationship. As far as veteran leadership in the locker room, I think it's essential to winning. I mean, it's it's how it's always been, I feel like, I mean, experience is something that you can't be taught. It just can't. You can't teach experience. You have to experience it and gain it, right? So, like having those veterans in the locker rooms with that experience that have been in as many wars as I've been in, if not more, I think is essential and is pivotal to when those times come and you're trying to, develop the younger guys and develop everyone to have a winning pedigree. I think it's important. So unless you don't want to win, then I guess that it's a little different. Maybe it's more of a mentorship on off the floor, and just trying to help them be better men and better professionals. I think that's important, even if you're not trying to win too. So I think it goes for both scenarios.
Thank you so much. You always give such great in-depth answers. So that was awesome. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
It was.
No problem. Thanks.
Indeed. Go ahead, Dwight.
Vic, it's been documented that you met with the Sacramento Kings while you were in Vegas. You've even flown out to Sacramento to meet with the Kings brass. I don't know who else you've spoken with, but when you're speaking with teams, either through your agent or yourself personally, how do those conversations go? Do you find them being honest? Do they have genuine interest in your services? Of course, they're going to talk to you about your injuries and your process of trying to get back to the NBA and your success, as far as I'm concerned, in the G League. When you're having those discussions, how honest and how genuine do you think the team or teams have been with you throughout this process?
It's never easy to tell. As far as like, you can't just be like 100% like, oh yeah, this is this, right? Because you aren't in every room, you're not in every conversation, right? But at the same time, I don't think these organizations will waste their time if there was no interest, especially with my history and what I've been through already. I don't think I think time is precious, so I don't necessarily think they would be wasting their time if there wasn't a legit interest in me coming in and helping their organization. As far as business wise, I'm smart enough and been in this business enough to know, like, obviously, I'm not in the rooms when they're having their conversations with the coaching staff or with the scouts or with the front office. But as far as the conversations go, it's just being honest. I'm just honest with who I am, where I'm at in my career, and I understand, like, I'm not here to step on anyone's toes. I'm literally here to help you win and help your program be better than it was before. So whatever role that looks like, I want to echo the coach and be a leader and lead from the back. Like, I want to help the guys. I straight up told them, like, it's a different makeup, the league, in my opinion, than it used to be, as far as like winning mattering and people being rewarded for winning. Now you get rewarded regardless of if you win or not, which is great. You know what I mean? Because which is great. You know what I mean? There's again, no criticisms. It's great. I want to see all my brothers win. But as far as like camaraderie and trying to win a championship and do something bigger than ourselves, it might get a little dicey as far as the coaching staff goes and trying to convince a group of guys that we should come together and really fight for something, bigger than ourselves. But as far as having me on your team, I am living representation on why moments matter and how moments can be here today and gone tomorrow. So being that representation and also echoing this ideology of understanding that we can come together and when we win, we all eat. I don't think there's any better representation than someone who's actually has come from hell and back, if I'm being honest. So that's what I pretty much told him.
My follow up to that is, do you think the new collective bargaining agreement has a lot to do with what you just said? While the new CBA has created parity across the league and we haven't had a repeat champion since 2017, do you think the new CBA has created that lack of loyalty or that lack of togetherness to where, you know what, let me get it in right now, because in 2 or 3 years, because of the new CBA, the GM is going to have to make a decision on me or some of my other teammates in order to create a roster that could stay out of the first and second apron, stay out of the luxury tax, stay in competition with the salary cap. Do you think the new CBA has created what you just alluded to or what you just spoke about?
You know, this is again no criticisms to anyone. But I think it did definitely play a little part in it. But not just to single out the NBA. Sometimes just in life, in our ecosystem, money can kind of, make things a little different. Let's just say that. Money can, especially when things are inflated, and things are expanding, it can get a little tough to balance everything out. And I've done a lot of interning, so to speak, or visiting of both the NBA office and the NBPA office. And first and foremost, it's great human beings in there working really hard, trying to find balance in between the players, the owners, and the NBA business as a whole. And they're doing great. Like, it's a bunch of great people in there. Like, I spend 4 days in the NBA office and then I spend 48 hours in the PA office. Like, they're doing a great job. They're really working hard trying to find a solid balance. But when there is, I call it chicken. When there is a lot of chicken, it's hard because it's hard to balance everything out, first and foremost. But at the same time, you can't sit here and not think that it doesn't play a role, as far as, it not being as balanced as far as the distribution in the CBA and, the kind of the front half of the players making most of the money and, the middle half and the lower half, kind of getting a little bit of the scraps, so to speak. That's how guys kind of feel right now, which I understand, and why there could be an imbalance and why guys are kind of more so focused on just making as much money as they can rather than
Right.
trying to, build some camaraderie and build a team aspect of, trying to, win and compete for a championship. So, I mean, at the end of the day, we in this, right? So we could sit here and, I could say, oh, it's this and it's this, and why did they do this and why did they do that? But, that's not going to do anything but, maybe get a couple likes. But I think the reality is now we are as far as like Andre Iguodala being at the PA and, me meeting with the NBA player engagement team, and everyone is really trying to figure out balance and work together to make this a better environment, not only for the players, but for the fans as well. And I think that is the biggest and most important thing, is that, we all stay on the same page and we all continue to build to make it more beneficial and make it the best product that it can possibly be, because, the game is pure. And, the building around it, or the sphere around it, which is the business of basketball, if we got to do some work to build it out, let's just keep working and building it out and come to a compromise. I don't think it should be that complicated. And I think we have the right people in place to help us make sure it's better in the future.
B-Dot, do you have one last question? I'm going to hit him, Victor, with a couple of questions on the way out. Do you have one or two last questions for Vic?
Yeah, I just got one simple question, man. Vic, before you came on, we was doing the whole what if players, top 5 what if players, barring injury or anything that happened in their career, from the Len Biases to the Penny Hardaways. Who is your top 5 what if players?
Just as far as like, if nothing happened?
Yep, if nothing happened, yep. Whether there's injury, whether there's some life-changing situation.
I would say D Rose, Grant Hill, Penny Hardaway, Sean Livingston.
I forgot.
Yeah.
Funny. Sean Livingston. Let me think about that. Sean Livingston, and then I guess I'll put myself in there. I guess I'll put myself in there. I guess I'll put myself in there. But I'm not but I honestly, not yet. I can't put myself in there just yet.
That's the reason why we include you in the
still
first
got
one.
a lot of left, and I can't put myself in there just yet.
There
Maybe
you go.
after I retire, we can put myself in there. But the last one,
Just go ahead and throw Len Bias. Go ahead and throw Len Bias in there.
Len Bias.
Yep. Go ahead.
Oh, that's a good one. Rest in peace. They was calling him the next Jordan. I mean, I'm down the street.
Yep.
That was a tough one.
Grant Hill.
Yeah,
Grant Hill, Bill Walton.
Grant Hill, Bill Walton. Bill Walton has some injuries too. Yeah.
T-Mac. Yep.
Tracy McGrady.
Brandon Roy. It's a man. It's on him.
Oh man, B. Roy. And you know what's funny is I'm sorry to I don't know if I'm rambling, but what's interesting is I've been doing a lot of study on the brain and neurology, and it's so amazing how when a lot of us go through these traumatic injuries, because it is some form of trauma. It's incredible how it shapes our realities afterwards, right? It's incredible how it shapes our approach afterwards, how it shapes our reality afterwards, how it shapes our approach with our bodies, with our minds, and with our realities. And, it's interesting from doing so much research on it and seeing how stress has kind of been or becoming a leading factor of injury, and how it isn't just a physical imbalance, but it could also be a psychological imbalance as well, contributing to injury. I think that it's really interesting because now we have to get into a space, or I want to get into a space where, it might feel uncomfortable, but I'm asking guys about what's going on away from the game, not only in the game, because it could also be contributing to the imbalances that they're having physically. So and why it might be even harder to recover after injury, and why it's even harder to, kind of get back to themselves even after injury. So I think it's really interesting, and I'm obviously still accumulating some information on it, but I can't wait to be a part of finding the resolution.
Hey Vic, hold on, folks. If I can interject here, it's funny you say that, Vic, because I was having this conversation with a friend of mine over the weekend. How, yes, there is physical injury, the impact. You step wrong, you step on somebody's foot, but the mental aspect to injuries. And if I can single out Aaron Gordon, I think part of our team here with the X-Rated Sports Network, we did a fact check on when Aaron Gordon suffered injuries. He relatively had a
Yeah.
pretty injury-free career until a traumatic happening in his family happened. Then the soft injuries followed. So to your point, and if you want to expand even more on it, it's amazing how the mental aspect, the mental health of an elite athlete can lead to injuries just as much as the physical impact. It's amazing to where sports psychologists having a mental health coach, a lifestyle coach is just as paramount as having a person who wants to physically get you in shape to be the best possible version of yourself. But if you can speak to the mental aspect of that, it would be great to hear, because that's truly where I think a lot of injuries, especially in this day and age, have come to the forefront.
You open up a can of worms now, boy. What? Oh man, listen, you're spot on. And not only it does it of let's not even it's shaping our reality as the world, as people, as the human race. The reason why we have imbalances is because our minds are out of balance in this world. We're talking about sports, we're just narrowing it down to sports because, I mean, if we're being honest, we are like the hybrids of the world. Like, we can run, jump,
Yes.
skip, hop, go crazy, do crazy things, and then all of a sudden this spectacular being can break down. And we're like, well, how? And then never be the same afterwards. Like, how? This human being got to be one of the most incredible athletes we've ever seen, but now he can't be? Like, what is that? But it starts and ends in your mind. Like, including our reality and why things happen in your own reality. It's a almost a direct distribution of the thoughts and feelings you have, and what you let lead, and what you feed on an everyday basis when it comes to your mental health. And a lot of times, like, I had a friend of mine that I was meeting with this weekend, and I asked her, I said, do you work on your mind as much as you work on your body? Do you train your mind like you train your body? She was like, no. I was like, well, your mind is a muscle, right? And she was like, no, I didn't really know that. It's like, well, we don't really teach much about the mind and the brain, do we? It's not really something that is like, curriculum, so to speak, huh? But there's not one human being I can meet that doesn't have a thought every single second of every single day. So I think having a life coach is paramount to someone's success, not only on the court and in their craft, but in life.
It's not to interject because I know that Rick wants to ask a few questions on that, but like I know Rick's like, let me get a question in, but this topic is really important to me too. Because I've also done a lot of reading on this. There's a book called The Body Keeps the Score, where your body is constantly holding trauma. And like, for example, I work out a lot, but I constantly pull my back. And there's like a correlation there where your back is the stability, right? So if you don't feel stable in your personal life, everything else is going to come crashing down. So no matter how much I train, how heavy I lift, how clean I eat, my back is always the most tense, and I can never loosen it up. So I'm still trying to work on that balance as well. I'm not an athlete at your level by any means, but I do compete in, bodybuilding, and I'm striving to get back on stage again. But I'm noticing that same issue of, my anxiety, high cortisol, and just trying to use my breath and slow down, as you mentioned, slowing down, disconnecting.
Mm-hmm.
But for what we do, it's very hard to do that. So
For sure.
I know there's a lot to unpack there, but I feel it personally, and I know exactly, what athletes or anyone who's dealing with that is going through.
Yeah, I'm actually, I've read the book and I'm re-listening to the book on my drives. The same book.
It's really good.
Right now, currently. To answer your question, but first and foremost, one thing I want to make sure that something that you said that I really want people to hear is that you said you're not the athlete that I am. 100%. Okay. Yes. But you share the same beginning and end I do. You were brought into this world the same way, and you will leave this world the same way I do. The in between is the creativity of what we all call God. It's too massive for it to be the same. The beginning and end is the humility and the love that comes with understanding that we come from the same source. So the stress and the stuff that I am talking about, it can help you if you simplify it, saying that this is something for me and I can take this and apply it to me. It could be that simple, just as the way you came into this world and the way you leave it are identical to me. Yes, you're not going to be the athlete. You might not jump as high. You might not run as fast, but you can find some relation in my story and in the stuff that I've been through. That's one. Two, as far as your body holding stress, it literally can affect how your muscles grow, how you sleep, how you eat, how you feel, and you store it in your hips, in your back, in your neck, and your body has feelings. Just like, the science shows now that trees have feelings and waters have feelings. So we just think that, oh, it's just inside of us. And when we get angry because someone did something we like or don't like, that's the only time we have emotion and can express emotion and store emotion. But it's so much deeper than that, which is not a surprise because the human experience is a deep one, to say the least. It's just we run from it. But I think all that plays a part, especially when you're talking about something as traumatic as injury. Now, there are some people who would say, it's just injury. Like, it comes with the sport. It doesn't make it any less traumatic or not. You know what I mean? And a lot of times as athletes, and especially as men, we are taught to suppress our feelings and be tough. And God forbid we say we don't feel right. And God forbid we say, man, my mind is just not in it today. God forbid we say that, because then your peers might think you weak. Or your father or your brother might say, man, you a man. But I've come to the understanding that being able to identify your weaknesses makes you stronger, and being able to be honest and tell this truth makes you indestructible. So I encourage all my, not only athletes, but people in general, to be honest about how you feel, and who cares how people respond to it. Find the person who responds to it in a way that you feel comfortable sharing, and you can grow from there.
Amen.
Amen. I don't want to interject, but now I'm just playing. You got it, Rick. I'm just playing. You got it. Rick's about to get mad, Rick.
No. This is a phenomenal, beautiful conversation. This is the deepest interview we have had
100%.
on Beyond the Surface on the X-Rated Sports Network. Victor, the name of our show is Beyond the Surface. Our patriarch is a sports medicine radiologist, Dr. Phil McDonald. He does X-rays, so X-Rated Sports Network and Dr. X. And So he created this Beyond the Surface. He wants deep dives on this show. We have never dove deeper than this show. And Victor, you are the reason why. So if I can pull out of that for just a second, I was doing research on you, Victor, and I'm a huge, you need to know this, and all my homies know this. I'm a huge, gigantic Russell Westbrook fan. I freaking love Russell Westbrook. It bothers me. Frankly, it infuriates me how the league treats him and the disrespect, but I don't even want to go into all that. You played with Russ in his MVP season, led the league in scoring at 31 a game, 10 boards, 10 dimes, trip dub, the whole thing. Okay. One of the most phenomenal, epic, electric individual seasons in NBA history. And you were the 1B guy to Russ on that Oklahoma City team. What was it like playing with him that year, seeing the greatness that he put out there every single night, and then talk with him about a teammate? Because I'm on this crusade, Victor. So many people bang on Russ, and I always want to play the other side because, Victor, I've been doing this a long time. I have yet to hear one NBA player that played with Russell Westbrook talk trash about him. So talk about that year and then what he was like as a teammate.
Well, first off, he's probably one of the closest teammates I've ever had. It was unbelievable to be around, to experience someone win the MVP award and in the manner that he did it. He was vibrating so high. His frequency was so unique. It was unbelievable to be around and to share that and to be a part of. I'm just thankful not only to be able to have met him, but to grow a relationship with him that I still have today. I think that is something that I probably am more grateful for than any pass. Just to be able to have the ability to reach out to him and gain his wisdom. As far as his game, this is just my personal opinion. I think Russ has always been an acquired taste when it comes to the game of basketball. I think that he's always been an acquired taste. It's what made him great. It's what made him so unique. It's what made him so stand out. He came in and was as explosive and was super unique at the point guard position. And the only other person probably around that time that we saw of ability was Derrick Rose. It wasn't like we weren't seeing guards and point guards move like that and do that, what he was doing. So I think people are just, he stands on business. He gonna be who he is. He gonna be what he's gonna do, what got him there, what made him successful, and he not gonna take no BS, if I'm being honest. And a lot of people don't like that, and that's fine. But as far as a teammate, like you said, you won't ever meet anyone that has a complaint about him as a teammate because he is that good of a teammate. You know what I mean? As far as a human being, away from basketball, it's not many better human beings you're gonna find. Trust me, it's not many you're gonna find. And as far as his game, the fact that he's been this successful for this long, I mean, it speaks for itself, And I could talk about Russ all day because again, he's a brother to me. It's much deeper than just a teammate, So I guess maybe there is some bias standard there, but as far as a human being, no, it honestly, you're not gonna find very many better humans. And as far as his game, he's just passionate about it. If I'm being honest, he's just passionate about the game, about team success, about his success, which you can't do anything but respect.
Amen to all of that. Last question, Victor, and we'll let you go. Last question, we'll let you go. What's next for Victor Oladipo?
Victor Oladipo is just gonna go beyond. and he just gonna chill up there. He just gonna chill up there. He gonna go beyond. He gonna keep enjoying himself. Keep enjoying the process of self mastery. Keep enjoying this process of just continuing to, overcome and elevate over adversity, and just have fun doing it. And I like I said, I'll let the powers that be work, and just keep leading with love.
Well, Victor, this God has a plan for you, and buckle up. It's going to be more of an amazing ride with what's left of your time here on Earth. I can tell you this: it really means a lot that you spend 45 minutes, whatever it has been. This has literally been a spectacular interview, Victor. The depth that you have shown, the transparency to your soul and what you're going through, the honesty, it's next level, man. And I really want to compliment you on that and give you huge thanks. Shouts to Ashley for booking the deepest interview we've done on Beyond the Surface. Okay. Shouts to Ashley. All right. But Victor, we are here for the comeback. We are going to cheer like crazy, when these doors open for you, but we're here for you, man. And can't wait for the next time we have you on the show.
Thank you, man. Thanks for having me. Can't wait to come back. Appreciate y'all.
Appreciate you, brother. Appreciate you.
Thank you.
All right, Victor.
God bless, Victor.
God bless.
Wow.
Okay, so that was spectacular. I don't really know how else to say that. We got. Go ahead, Ashley.
I expected it. I think. I mean, that's why I've always wanted to interview him, because I've heard him in interviews before, and he is a deep thinker. And those are my favorite kind of interviews. Even though we've been asking basketball questions, it's you can go beyond the surface with Victor Oladipo.
Yep.
Again, Ashley, just shouts.
The introspection was spectacular. And he didn't say the whole name, but he said that he's going to go beyond. And that's the premise of this show, of this podcast. And sometimes the interview takes care of itself, right? You just start. The person being interviewed leads you into the next question, and I think that's why this interview was able to go on for the 50 minutes that it did. I can promise you that some of us may have had questions going into this, but the questions towards the end, it was strictly off the cuff, because that's where Vic led us. And I think that's why I think it touched us all. You can see how emotional he was getting, because you can see his mind processing, because this has been, for lack of a better phrase, one hell of a journey for him. And the injuries have derailed his career, and he's trying to come back. But he's also accountable enough, introspective enough to understand that this is the path that God is leading me on, and I'm going to try to do the best that I can with it. And that's why Victor is who he is, and that's why we just got the interview that we did. It spoke for itself. Great job to everybody here.
Indeed, man. Indeed. So we got about 7 minutes left. Let's do our rants here, and we'll say goodbye to the people and tell everybody, or at least suggest that they have a great weekend. I'll go first, and I do want to talk about Russell Westbrook. Look, the Kings have interest in bringing him back. The Wizards have been mentioned. They want to add a veteran or two for all their young guys. And then there's this, okay? This came out, about a week ago. Russell Westbrook has interest from Greece's Panathinaikos and Israel's Hapoel Tel Aviv. While I appreciate that, because a gig is a gig, you can't do Russell Westbrook like that. You will not banish Russell Westbrook to the EuroLeague, okay? And I know, the EuroLeague's a great league, but he is literally a top 10 point guard all time. Last year, he was 15, 5, and 7. Let those numbers sink in for a minute. 15, 5, and 7 last year. 15, 5, and 7. This is not the 15th man. This is not the OG, right? Like the guy that kind of can't play anymore, but he's on the team, kind of a player coach. No. Russell Westbrook is still a killer on the court. Is he prime Russ? No, of course he's not. 15, 5, and 7, and he's still a free agent. And we know that he will sign a veteran minimum contract. So what's the holdup? I literally don't understand. Boston's backup point guard right now is Mike Conley. Love him, but he's done. How much more would you like Boston with Russ behind Peyton Pritchard? Hello? Did you know Charlotte's backup point guard right now is rookie Christian Anderson? I don't even know anything about him. Denver's backup point guard right now is, I don't. He was like the 19th pick or whatever. Denver's backup point guard is Tyus Jones. Tyus Jones has not been good since he left being Ja Morant's backup in Memphis. I'm sorry, I'm not banging on the dude. It's the reality of his career.
That's a fact.
Would Russ be an upgrade over Tyus Jones? You're damn right he would. Okay, Detroit. We all love Dennis Jenkins. Okay, Russ would be an upgrade over him. Okay, Miami's backup point guard right now is Drew Smith. Hello, what are you waiting for? Like, I would like Miami. Wait, I would actually. It would change how I view Miami if Russ went there. Minnesota's backup point guard right now is Bones Highland. Okay, I like Bones Highland. I'm rooting for him, but let's be honest. Bones Highland is kind of a third-string point guard in the NBA right now. Okay, Russ would be the backup for them. Philadelphia, this is where Russ should go. Go ring chasing, and I have no problem with ring chasing, by the way. That is the worst narrative going. He's ring chasing. What is he supposed to do? Anyway, all right, reel it in. Philadelphia's backup point guard right now is the rookie Philon that they got like the 20th pick or whatever. No. I'm sorry. You are in a championship pursuit. Your backup point guard can't be a rookie. No, you can have a hotshot rookie on your right. No. Like he's going to play 20 minutes a night for you? No. Go get Russell Westbrook. Bam. Now you got a kick-ass bench. So, and the team, Denver needs Russell Westbrook. He vibed with Jokic. Jokic liked him. Russ liked Jokic. And they made beautiful music together. And he sent a charge every time he went on the floor out there at Ball Arena. So my call is Denver for Russ. And let's go to Ashley with final thoughts, a rant, whatever you got here. Or if you just want to take a bow for getting Victor on the show.
I mean, I'm not going to toot my own horn, but it was great. I prefer to interview guys that have more depth to them, where it's not, just basketball, but you can go beyond that, and they can share their personal experiences. And like he said, we can all learn from athletes. We don't have to be one to be able to take pieces of their story and integrate it into our own, right? So I like this path he's going on because, as he mentioned in that interview, he's been working with a lot of this rookie class. And I did want to ask him, we ran out of time. I didn't want to interject again for like the 5th time. But I did want to ask him like who he thinks that the rookie of the year is going to be, having been with them, alongside them through the draft process, obviously watching them in college. Always fun to get his 2 cents or any player's 2 cents on players that are just coming into the league. But the fact that he's been working so heavily with them, he has a lot of wisdom and a lot to share. And I can almost see like this, he's trying to get to not just like on the court, but I could tell that he's going to probably be doing a lot of mentorship, as he mentioned, off of it, but potentially talking more about what we talked about with him today. Because I think that he's doing a lot of research on it for a reason. And he's the type of person where he's not just gathering that research for himself, but he's gathering that research so that he can share it with the world. So don't be surprised if he starts to, I don't want to say start a podcast or what have you, but I think there's something there where he can go beyond basketball and really dive into the mental aspect of the game at a deeper level. And I don't know if he's still watching this, but if he is, or if anyone's tuning in, I think there's still a lot more to come with Victor Oladipo, whether it's on the court or off of it.
I mean, he could join Shalea as an Emmy Award-winning singer. too. That's possible for Victor Oladipo.
Jack of all trades.
Yeah, absolutely. I've heard him sing. He can go, man. He can go. Vic can sing, man. There's no doubt about that. All right, B-Dot's going to bring us home. So Dwight Walton, what you got, man?
I just want to continue my love for the WNBA and the show that they're putting on this summer. And I just want to echo what Sophie Cunningham has spoken about. And listen, when we're in this media business, we all tend to focus on negative news, negative controversy, because negative news sells, and we get it. But if we've been paying attention, the WNBA is having one heck of a summer. And we need to focus on that. We need to focus on, to me, the parity across the league. And I understand that right now, Phoenix and the Toronto Tempo and the Portland Fire and the Seattle Storm, they're in the bottom of the league. But if you've been watching on a night in, night out basis, as I have been, the games have been competitive. There is rarely a night to where you see a huge blowout. And that just speaks to the competitive spirit, the overall parity, just the greatness of the league. And whether it took a lot of us to get on board with the WNBA, not for me, because I follow sports in general since I was 7 years old, but for us to finally understand and to love what the WNBA is bringing. And this summer, yes, the Minnesota Lynx may be in first place, but the Lynx, the Aces, the Valkyries, the Liberty, the Mystic, the Fever, the Dream. There are so many teams that can legitimately say today that they have a legitimate shot at winning a championship. And I know we went back and forth, and the Mystics, we went back and forth about this last week in terms of who should be the most valuable player. Again, this is not a slight nor disrespect to A'ja Wilson, but what Olivia Miles has done with the Minnesota Lynx this season. Just imagine this. Nafisa Collier has to fit in with Olivia Miles rather than the other way around. That's the kind of season that Olivia is having with the Lynx this season. And as of today, she is my most valuable player.
Woo!
That's just the reality. It is what it is. She's going to win the Rookie of the Year, and she should be the leader in the clubhouse right now for the league's most valuable player, and to be the only other player to do it since Candace Parker did it. That's the reality. She needs to be told and shown the flowers that she deserved. She has maintained the standard that Nafisa Collier and Cheryl Reeve have done for the Lynx over the past several seasons, and the fee was out for most of the season. Give her the respect, man. And again, I also want to talk about the Mystics. Shakira Austin. If y'all don't know that name, please look her up. Chastity Melvin mentioned her last week in terms of most improved player in that conversation. With what she's doing this season, with what she did last night, scoring 27 points, 12 rebounds in the Mystics, come from behind victory over the Dallas Wings, she deserves to be in that conversation as well. I know the USA women's roster came out this morning, and I know all of those players deserve to be on that list. However, if you noticed, Olivia Miles ain't there. Kelsie Mitchell ain't there. Sabrina Ionescu ain't there. And for my money, Shakira Austin is playing as well as any power forward / center there is in the WNBA. She, at the very least, needs to be in consideration for 2028. I understand that it may not be time for those players to be on this roster that are going to be trying to qualify for the World Cup from September the 4th to the 13th in about a month. But please keep those names in mind. And please pay special attention to the Washington Mystics. They've won 5 in a row. They're in 8th place currently in the league standings, but they're going to be a terror for any team they play in these playoffs. They're that good. Irfin, Sonia Citron, Shakira Austin, all those players. Keep those players in mind. The WNBA has been fantastic. They deserve to be spoken about even more. And I will do everything in my power to make sure that on this platform and whomever I speak to, the WNBA will get the props and the flowers they deserve.
Again, hear, amen, all that jazz. Dot, I have a question, maybe two questions. Are those Sennheiser headphones?
Yeah.
Okay, audio they look like Sennheisers. Those are your DJ.
I got it from the studio.
Those are your DJ headphones, right?
Yep. Fresh from the studio. Shout out Dr. X and Kai, the whole team.
They're like tight. They don't move, right? That's why you got them, because they're kind of tight, right?
Yeah. Good sound too. Good sound.
That's what I'm talking about. All right, just wanted to vet that. I'm a big Sennheiser fan, and it makes me feel at home because the Sennheiser is the broadcasting headset, right? Like all the play-by-play. So anyway, I'm rocking the Sennheiser and I'm loving it. All right, enough about that. Dot, bring us home, man.
All right, bring it home. I make it short and simple. All right. Everybody's debating transgender athletes in sports. And I understand, there are real conversations to be had about fairness and competition. But for a minute, let's take sports completely out of it and let's look at the actual person. So imagine waking up every day already knowing people may judge you, fear you, or feel uncomfortable around you before you even speak. Imagine walking into a bathroom, restaurant, workplace, or grocery store wondering who's staring, who's whispering, and whether you're safe or not. Most transgender people aren't trying to hurt anybody, trick anybody, or take anything away from anybody. They're trying to live as the person they genuinely believe themselves to be, and that journey is already difficult enough. You cannot take a few bad people or bad experiences and place an entire community inside one bubble. We've done that in the past, and we do not need to continue to do that with this transgender group of people. We can debate policies, we can disagree about sports, but disagreement should never cost somebody their humanity. You don't have to understand somebody's entire life to treat them with dignity and respect. And that's it. That's for me right there.
What a beautiful and deep way to end the deepest show we've ever had on Beyond the Surface on the X-Rated Sports Network, the deepest interview that we have done. More deep thoughts with Rick Kamla, Ashley Neville, Brandon Armstrong, and Dwight Walton, and Dr. X coming up next week, Thursday at 2 p.m. Eastern Time. It'll be the next edition of Beyond the Surface. Peter Vesey, Hall of Famer, is going to join the show. Next week is Hall of Fame week. The class of 2026 will be enshrined next weekend in Springfield. So we'll have some Hall of Fame topics, but we'll have Peter Vesey on. He has one of the most famous Hall of Fame speeches of all time. It was not well received by everybody, but it was very well received by this guy. Okay, so that may come up or that may not. Dwight's laughing because he knows exactly what I'm talking about. But the great Peter Vesey will join us next week, and we are out, ladies and gentlemen. Peace and love to you all. Huge thanks to Victor Oladipo for joining the show. I love the X-Rated Sports Network jersey, by the way. And shouts to Ashley for booking BO. Ashley, you are the MVP for this particular broadcast. We are out, ladies and gentlemen. See you soon.